Hi, I'm Morgan Clark. I am our Trade Implementation Coordinator here at Bushel. Today we're going to be doing a training on our trade platform, going over things like general settings, market feeds, bid management, offer management, and hedge management. Join me and we'll get started with our training. When you first log into the Bushel Trade system, you will be prompted to a market feed screen. We want to start with just talking about some high-level overview of terminology we use in the system, as well as some preferences or settings that you can adjust when you first log in. So in the top left-hand corner, you will see these three lines. You can click those to expand that left sidebar. That gives you some words to go with all those symbols and initials that you saw over there originally, so you understand what each page means. So on the left-hand side, we refer to these as pages, and you will be started with a handful of default pages. Within each of those pages, we refer to those as widgets. So you'll notice on this market feed screen, we have multiple widgets added into that screen. What I want to show is at the bottom, there is a preferences area. We're going to talk about some different settings that you can adjust in the system. So when we click preferences, it brings in our preference box here. One thing to note is that these preferences will take place immediately. There is no save button. So as soon as you click something and change it, it's going to change it automatically for you right then. The first thing is this theme. You can change your theme. If you don't want the dark background, there is also a light theme with a white background. You can change your buy and sell colors as well as your price movement colors. So we have them set to blue and red. Your default may be green and red when you log in. Again, that is adjustable and can be changed right here in that preference section. Your account display will automatically default to account number. What we highly recommend is either the account name or the account number and account name based on whether you are hedging with multiple hedge accounts or maybe just one. If we're using multiple hedge accounts, we always recommend that account number with account name. The main reasoning being that the account number we will assign to your farmer accounts that we get out of your ERP system will be a gibberish number and letter code that does not make sense to you. So you will need that account name to know what farmer you are using to put those offers in. The account number will show your different hedge account numbers when you are hedging in the system. When we scroll down farther, there is a notifications section. In that notifications section, we always recommend turning on those top 6 banner switches. There are also sound switches that can be turned on. What these do are they pop up a little box at the top of your screen that you will see sometime here in the demo. That shows you when an order fills, if an order is parked or canceled, any new orders come in. You just get a little pop-up notification right here in the system letting you know that that has happened. And again, that sound, if you prefer a sound, would just give you a little bell or chime in your ear. If you have headphones on, letting you know that that has popped up. Scrolling just slightly further, there's one last thing, and that is this enable order comments. If we have that switch turned off, which is the default, you will not have a comment box when you are placing orders for your farmers or your hedges. If you would like to have a comment box where you can add comments to those orders, you're just simply going to turn that switch to on. Again, all of those settings will save automatically, so we can just simply click the X to close that preference box when we're finished. This is the market feeds section of our Bushel Trade platform. When you are in your market feed section, you will have multiple widgets available to you. You will have a scrolling ticker at the top of your screen. Scrolling through there are all of the same commodities that you will see in your quote spreadsheet directly below that. Everything from corn, soybeans, 3 different types of wheat, as well as canola. Underneath that, you will have a quote spreadsheet with a default set of columns set up in that quote spreadsheet. Those are customizable where you can change those, add different columns in, expand those columns out if you need more space in your screen, or even remove some of the defaults that we set you up with. So if I wanted to manage any columns in this quote spreadsheet, I can click what we consider those 3 dots in the top right-hand corner of that widget, and click Manage Columns. In that Manage Columns screen, you're going to see in window is everything currently in your view. You can use the trash can on the right-hand side to delete that view, or you can use the 3 lines on the left-hand side to move your columns around. So if I would like my settle price up at the very top next to my last trade, I can click and drag those 3 lines to move that settle to the top. If I want it back down below, again, click the 3 lines and drag it down to the bottom. If I want to add something in, I'm going to click that All Columns button on the left, or even any of these other options. Those are just broke down scenarios or titles where each individual column is kind of broke out. All Columns is going to give you everything that is possible or available to be added into this quote spreadsheet. So if I was looking for the bid and ask, they're both right here at the top. It's in alphabetical order by that symbol. So I could click the bid and ask and click add. When you add those in, it does add them to the bottom of your list. So you would have to go back to your view here and click and drag those to where you're wanting them to be in your screen. You'll notice in the background here that those are automatically getting added in. There's no save button. So as soon as you click and add those, they're going to appear in your quote spreadsheet. Or as soon as you click that trash can to remove them out, they're going to go away from your quote spreadsheet. To add symbols into your quote spreadsheet, the easiest way, if you already have one built out and you're wanting to add it in the middle, is to right click and click insert right below where you want that to go. So if I was going to add a further out soybean, which is a ZSE symbol, I would go ahead and type ZSE, click that drop down arrow, and look for whatever futures month I'm wanting. It's only going to show you the first 6 futures months. There are the more, so if you click the very small gray more button in the top right hand corner, you can go ahead and see more futures that are available for that commodity. Select the one that you want and click OK. We can see that added that July 26 futures to my soybeans list over on the left hand side here, right where I want it to go below the May. With the quote spreadsheet, we have 2 charts available. What we like to do is link those charts to our quote spreadsheet as well as the other widgets on the page. So when we're using the linking feature, we have this little dot up at the title of those widgets, and we just make sure that it's the same color all the way across the top of the board here. So being the same color means those widgets are linked together. When I click a futures month in my quote spreadsheet, my chart changes to that futures month. So you can see I have 2 charts. The first one here is a chart with what we call continuation turned on. That combines corn into a whole. So you see the background there and those gray letters just says ZCE. It doesn't say a specific futures month. That is because that continuation is turned on. What that continuation does is combine it as a whole, but also gives you further back historical data. So if I switch this over to monthly, I can actually go back, and you can do it on daily also. Just switch to monthly so I don't scroll as long. I can go back all the way to 1968 and see historical corn data from 1968 on my chart. On both charts, the only difference is that continuation piece, so everything else we'll see here is available in both places. So the durations, you can see anywhere from 1 minute out to monthly. You can also customize a duration and choose one yourself. There are many different types of charts. So in this bottom left or bottom corner here, we can see we can choose candles, hollow candles, volume bars, line area, all different options available there. The next button across here, this little eyeball, if we click that, that gives us data to those charts, as well as any studies that we have added to them. So when we hover over a candle on the chart, you'll see that data on the left-hand side is changing depending on what candle I am hovering over. If you don't want that data showing, you just simply click that eyeball there on the left-hand side. There are many studies available, so you'll notice on this chart that I'm viewing, I have 4 or 5 studies added. On the next one, I don't have any. So you can use studies. You do not have to use studies. If I don't want any of these, I can simply click my little settings here and adjust them, or click the drop-down arrow and remove them. If I want to add a study in that's not currently showing on my chart, I'm going to click that plus study sign at the bottom. You can see there's 33 studies here in my library. So if I want that DMI back that I had just removed, I can select that and click add, and it's going to add it down here at the bottom. Depending on what type of study you are adding will determine if it's going to be added overlay on the top of the chart or added at the bottom as its own. With the charting features, there's also more tools over on the right-hand toolbar. So you can add trend lines, horizontal lines, Fibonacci retracements, text box, or even shapes. Rectangle as well as triangle is available. The last widget on this page we're going to talk about is what we call our hybrid order ticket or our hot trader. This is just referred to in the industry maybe as a waterfall or a ladder view, where you can see what the current market is doing. You can see different bid and asks that are out there or volume at different levels. But you can also hedge straight from this hybrid order ticket. So if I was wanting to put a target order in, maybe at 445, I can click that 445, click this sell one, add a comment to it, and then simply click place order to have that hedge placed in the system. The next page we will cover is our bid management page. So again, on that left-hand toolbar is our list of pages. We're just going to click bid management, which is the next page down. In our bid management screen, you're going to see two widgets. The first one is a basis trade widget. That'll be the widget that you will use to place your farmer offers. The next widget is our publish bids and offers. That is where you're going to add all of your cash bids in, as well as manage them. And that's what you're going to use to enter those offers for the farmers. So in that published bids and offers, when you first log into the system, or even now, if you guys are already customers with us and you have your bids in the system, we're going to click that plus sign up here at the top. That is what we're going to use to add a new bid in. And then we're going to follow along from top to bottom in that configure bids and offers screen. So our top box here is our location. We're going to choose what location we want this bid to be for. Next is our product. So you will see just your company's list of products. You won't have as many as you can see here, but if you are just a corn and soybeans company, you will just see corn and soybeans. You can select whichever commodity you're wanting to create that offer for. Next box down is going to be your description. So how do you want that bid to read to your customers or your farmers on the mobile app or your website, wherever these bids are flowing? That description is what they're going to see when they're selecting that bid. So if I was going to set up a September 25 bid for soybeans, I may put Sep 25. Some people will spell the whole month out, and you can type out September 25 or even the whole year and do September 2025. You're going to choose your delivery period. So your delivery start we'll select as September 1st and click OK. Our delivery end is going to be September 30th and click OK. Our expiration is going to automatically default to that end of delivery. It can be changed. You can simply click in there and again have that calendar pop up and choose whatever date you would like. Otherwise, you can leave it as the end of delivery. What that means is on September 30th at 5 p.m. Central Time, this bid is going to fall off of your list of cash bids, as well as expire any offers that are tied to the bid at that time. The expiration is the one box that cannot be changed once you have created this bid and published it. So you can come back in and change your description, you can change your delivery periods, your futures month, and your basis. You cannot change that expiration date once the bid has been published, so make sure you have it set to what you're wanting to start with. Your source product can be selected here, so it'll bring your drop down of all the different soybean futures months. We're going to use the Sep 2025 for this bid. In the pricing section here, you're going to see 4 different contract types, maybe just 3. Whatever we set your company up is what you'll see. So for this, I don't need flat. Our flat contract is going to be for those specialty contracts that don't involve futures or hedging. That would just be a flat rate dollar there. The pricing at the top, cash basis and HTA. If we leave those boxes checked, that means our farmers are going to have the ability to enter basis only or HTA only offers. If we don't want those options, we're simply going to uncheck those and just simply post a cash bid. If we're okay with accepting basis only and HTA offers, we'll leave those boxes checked. And then we're just going to plug in our basis level in this box on the right-hand side. So we'll say we are 25 under for soybeans into Decatur for September delivery. And then that will calculate our cash off of that September futures. The advanced section mostly deals with the hedging side of things. So you can see this hedge first box here, 3 down. That is that hedge first scenario that we will dive into later in this call, where a hedge would be tied automatically to your farmer offers as they are entered. So if you would like that to happen, you're going to leave that hedge first box as on. Above that, our side is always going to be bid. That way we are posting these as cash bids for farmers to make offers on. If we're posting them as an offer, that would be the opposite. So that would be like we are selling the corn to the farmer rather than buying it from them. Our hedge product is going to be defaulted to the same as our source product. You can change that. The one note to remember though is if we're trying to hedge off of a different futures month from what we are bidding, that will not allow us to use that hedge first functionality. You will have to use fill first and run those hedges through what we consider our tail hedging system. Jumping down here, the visibility box does default to all. That means that this bid, when you create it, will be sent to all of your different places that we send your bids. So that whether that's the customer portal, the website, or just any users that are also using Bushel Trade. If you would like that bid to be hidden from your farmers, you can simply choose CQG in that visibility box. That keeps the bid here in Bushel Trade alone. It does not publish it out to your customer portal or your website. It would be an internal use only bid. Otherwise, we can leave that visibility set to all. The last piece I'm going to talk about is this enable to trade button. If we uncheck that button or we turn that switch off, that makes that bid not able to be traded, both internally and with your farmers. So you would not be able to place offers against this bid, as well as your farmers would not be able to place offers against that bid. When we're done, we're just going to click add. It's going to place that bid right in order where we would want it to be in our list. So in our published bids and offers, they do sort out in a default sort. We sort by location first, alphabetical order. We sort by product second. You can see that 2 with an arrow there. Again, alphabetical order. And then our last is that delivery period. So we're going to put the nearby bids at the top and the furthest out bids at the bottom for each commodity. You can sort by other columns by simply clicking that column. But if you ever want to go back to your default sort and have it in order where it was before, you're just going to click it a second time and then a third. That's going to get rid of that little arrow and put those default sort arrows back in place. Again, these columns are customizable, just like our quote spreadsheet was. So we're going to click those 3 dots in the top right-hand corner, click Manage Columns, and it brings in that same screen we saw in that Market Feeds section, where we can choose or move things around in our In Window section, or we can choose different columns to be added in to our current view. When we have all of our bids in here, we're going to be managing our bids here daily. So if we're going in and updating our basis levels, the easiest way to do that is simply clicking in that basis column where we can see our bids. If you're clicking in the box and it's not showing you all of your decimal places, so right now it's looking like I'm just posted at 30 under, but really it's 31, you can simply use your arrows to expand that column and make it a little wider so you can actually see that full bid in there. When we're updating, we can type in the box. So if we want to click and type and change that to whatever we want, we can also use our arrows. So if we're going up a few cents or down a few cents, we can click those arrows and change those bids. You'll notice that those bids are highlighting a blue color whenever we change them. That's just an indicator to you that you've changed that bid, but you have not yet published it. So anytime we add a bid in, so our new September bid down here that still shows a status of new, or we edit bids, so those 3 that are blue and our status says modified, we do have to publish those. So right now, I'm the only person that can see these bids and these changes that I've made until I hit this publish all button at the top. Once I do that, anybody in my team that has access to our trade system will be able to see those changes, as well as all the changes will be pushed to the customer portal and the website. We're going to go back to that basis trade widget on the left-hand side now. So like I mentioned before, this is where you're going to place your offers for your farmers. So we like to have this widget on our bid management page for the simple reason of using that linking feature again. So we take that dot, we make sure it's the same color on both widgets, and we use that to create our offers for our farmers. So the first stop is this little box right up here. That's where you're going to select your farmer account. When we click that box, it pulls in our choose account screen. We're going to type in the name of the farmer that we're looking for, and that's going to pull into our box for us. Next is we're going to choose what bid that farmer is wanting to create an offer against. So if we're on the farm with the farmer and he's looking at July 25 soybeans into Decatur, I'm going to click that July 25 line, and it's automatically going to pull into my basis trade widget for me. If you were to switch and wanted to look at maybe harvest 25 corn, we can click that harvest 25 corn line, and again, it makes that change in our basis trade widget for us. So all of those top boxes automatically fill out. Now all we're left with doing is putting in a target price if this is a target order, as well as the bushel amount that is wanted. We can change our duration here in the system. So we have different options: day, good till cancel, good till a certain date. So that good till a certain date, you can click the little date next to it. It'll bring up a calendar view. You can have this work maybe through the end of next week. And then we're going to type in our comment. So maybe this is split with my brother. Whatever that comment may be that that farmer told you on that phone call, if it's a farm name, if it's being shared with somebody, if it's anything at all, you can put that comment in there. I believe it holds up to 260 characters, something like that. It is very large, so no limit there as far as adding comments. And then we're just going to click that sell 2500 red box at the bottom there. It's going to bring in a confirm order screen, so we can see sell 2500 bushels at $4.85. It's going to expire on June 20th. And here's that farmer account that it's for. That's the piece that I like to highlight the most. I want to tell people double check that farmer account. Seems to be the thing that might be missed the most because it is at the top of that widget. So just make sure you have the right farmer selected in that confirm screen before you place that order. When we place the order, here's that pop-up notification we talked about in our settings. So we can see that we have that working order come in. Now, anybody that has access to this farmer's account in their trade system is getting that same pop-up notification. So if Danny was logged in right now, he could see he has this working order that came through from me. You can see the user that placed it, the farmer account that it's under, and as well as that comment that we plugged in on it. The next page we're going to cover is our offer management page. Now that we've put our offer in and we saw that notification pop up, the next place to see that offer is in offer management. So when you first get into offer management, you will see these 4 widgets across the top. The first one is orders all. That's going to be all orders no matter what their status is. So if you're wanting to view orders such as expired or rejected, those are going to only show up in this orders all screen. All the other orders that you also see in here, like parked, working, or filled, can all be seen in their own individual widgets, which are these other 3 we see across the top. So if we're going to go over to our next one, that is our working orders. Working orders, we can do a handful of things with them from here. We can cancel those orders on the left-hand side. That is the X that you see there. We can modify the order by clicking the pencil. When you're modifying, the two things that you can change are the bushels and the price, or you can apply a custom basis to those offers by checking that box and plugging in whatever basis you want that offer to have. We can also manually fill an order that's in a working status. So if we're a few cents away and we want that order just to go ahead and be filled for that farmer, we're going to click the drop down arrow and click fill manually. It's going to show us what that offer is. So 3,005 bushels at $5.65 to limit. And here's the farmer that it's put in for. And then we're just going to go ahead and click fill order. We're going to see that order come in here automatically and say filled in our pop-up notification. That cancel we see is that hedge-first hedge that we'll talk about here in a few minutes. And that is going to cancel automatically because we can't force a hedge to go through when we're force filling a farmer offer. In all of these widgets, we can adjust these columns again. So what you're seeing here are just some basic columns. You can add as many as you want or remove any that you don't want. Again, 3 dots in the top right-hand corner. Click Manage Columns. In window is everything currently in our view. We're going to use that left-hand side to click and drag to move. Right-hand trash can to delete those out. And then all columns to view everything that's available to be added in that we're not currently viewing. Our orders parked page is where we're going to activate any orders sitting in a parked status. So if you're using our make offer functionality and you have what we call force care turned on, those orders come in from your farmers in a parked status, meaning you have to activate those to a working status for them to be able to fill. We call it kind of a safety net for those orders coming in from your farmers for you to review them. To activate them, it's very simple. We're going to click the drop down arrow and click activate and then activate order. And that order will go over to our working orders screen. Orders filled is going to be all orders sitting in a filled status. So one note to make is that all orders sitting what we call a final status will fall out of the system after 30 days. So if it's a canceled, a rejected, an expired, or a filled order, once it reaches that final status, it falls out of the system 30 days later. If it's a working or a parked, obviously we don't remove those out of the system here. Once they hit that final status, then they would have 30 more days before being removed. We do have access to those orders in the back end. So if you're ever finding one or looking for one that you can't see because it's past that 30 days, you can let us know at our support team and we can find those in the back end for you. One last thing to note with all these orders, anytime we either modify or we activate, if our farmers are using the app and they have their push notifications turned on, they're getting those push notification notices about those things that are happening. So when it's parked and we activate it, they get a push notification saying that that order has been accepted and is in a working status now. If we modify it, it gives them a push notification saying their order has been modified with the details. And if it fills or cancels, they get a push notification for those as well. The last piece we're going to cover is a little bit about the different hedge scenarios that are available here in this system. The first one we're going to cover is what we call our hedge-first scenario. What I want to talk about first are the settings behind those hedge-first scenarios. So you'll see that page on the left-hand side called Manage Custom Markets. This is where you control those settings, and this is a page that we can keep hidden from some of your employees if you only want certain people to be able to control these. So the columns I'm going to call out are here in the middle of the screen. The first one is just that hedge first column. You'll see I have most of mine on if they are able to be. Some of these that say off are different commodities that have conversions built in with both Canadian dollar to US dollar as well as unit conversions. So because of those different conversions, they cannot use the hedge first scenario. Otherwise, we have all of these marked as on. What that means is when you create your bids, it's going to automatically pull that hedge first scenario to be on each bid. That way you don't have to go in and change it each time that you are creating a new bid. The next column I'm going to talk about is this hedge first threshold percentage. You'll see I have all of mine set to 60%. This means that at 3,000 bushels or higher, I'm going to have a hedge tied to those farmer offers. So you can set this, it's a percent of a full hedgeable contract, so a 5,000 bushel contract for corn, soybeans, and wheat. So 60% is that 3,000 mark. We see everything from 50 all the way up to the full 100, which is 5,000 bushels. The last column is that hedge account column. So if you're somebody that uses multiple hedge accounts, whether it be different commodities per hedge account, different locations for each hedge account, you can control that in here. So if you want your Decatur location to all hedge through hedge account 2, we'll just set all of these commodities here. You can see for Decatur to hedge account 2, and then St. Louis we set to hedge account 1. That box is just simply a click in and type. There's also a bulk edit button, so if you're setting everything to the same, you can select the top line, hold whatever button is needed on your computer to select the whole screen, and then just click that bulk edit, and you'll see those columns we were just talking about as options in here. So you can change all of your hedge first threshold at one time, you can change that hedge account all at one time, and just simply type in the full hedge account number. If your hedge account number has a special character in it, like a dash, you'll leave that out. So if, for example, if it's ABC-12345, you're just simply going to type the ABC12345 and leave the dash out of it. Once we change all of those, you'll see similar to when we're creating our bids or updating bids, we have those blue boxes appear. That tells me I've changed them, and again, I haven't published it. So just like our bid management screen, we do have to publish those changes up here at the top. I'm going to go ahead and discard these because I don't want to change my percentages. I'm going to put in a couple offers here on this basis trade widget that I've added in. You will not have this in your manage custom market screen. Just for trading purposes, I've placed it here. So I'm just going to plug in a 3,000 bushel offer to show you what that looks like right at that 60% mark that our threshold is set at. So when that offer comes through, here's that farmer offer on top, and we see that working hedge that tied to it automatically on bottom. So we can differentiate those two. One, the hedge shows in a lot form, the offer shows in a bushel form. My hedge account highlights as yellow, yours will not. It will just be the regular black background like any other order. That's simply because I have a demo hedge account. And then the comment on that hedge first gets placed, and it pulls in the account info of the farmer that is on the farmer offer that hedge is tied to, as well as the cash order number of that offer that it's tied to. You can also differentiate a couple other ways. I'm going to go ahead and plug in another offer here just below that 60%, just so we can have one of each in there. So here's that top offer. No hedge came through with it. It's just the farmer offer itself because I did not reach that 60% threshold. When I click the I on the farmer offer of the 3,000 bushels, I can see that fill algorithm is set to hedge first. That tells me that hedge first scenario is working. I can even scroll down here and see the info of that new hedge order being placed in the transaction history of that order. If I go into the I of the other offer that did not reach the threshold, we see that fill algorithm as fill first instead of hedge first. So that tells me there is not a hedge tied to this offer, and there's no hedge data plugged into that transaction history down here at the bottom as well. With that hedge first hedge, what we like to say is that it's tied to that offer for the entirety of its life. So if we cancel that offer, it's going to cancel the hedge with it. So we see both cancel out. If we modify the offer and we change the price on it, we'll see the hedge price change instantly to what futures are actually needed for that hedge to fill. If we manually fill, so earlier we manually filled that offer in our demo a little bit ago, when we manually fill, it cancels that offer and it takes those bushels and it plugs them into the next hedge piece that I want to talk about, which is what we call our tail hedging system. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this system because it is more complex, and if you guys want to use this system and you aren't today, please reach out. We can set up a call and help you get that set up. But this tail hedging system is on our hedge account balances page. And what those offers do when we manually fill them is it takes those filled bushels and it puts them into each corresponding bucket based on what futures month those bushels came from. This also collects all of those smaller offers, so that 2,999 that I just created, once it fills, we'll see those bushels pop up in each corresponding bucket that it belongs in here in our hedge account balances. So the tail hedging system is built into this hedge account balance system. It's right here. You can see this tail management, and it's essentially what we call a bucketing system. So we can set thresholds here separate from our hedge-first thresholds. And when those thresholds reach, if our bucket reaches 5,000 bushels, our threshold's set at 100%. And we can expand this here to see that. So when this bucket reaches 5,000 bushels, it's going to sell me a market hedge to keep me in balance. So again, we can change that threshold to whatever we want it to be. We can set a bias if we want to be long or short a certain amount of bushels at all times. You can do that as well. And then you can set the system to both buy and sell or just sell, whatever you prefer. So again, a little more complex on this tail hedging system. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. If you do have questions, please reach out and we can help you get that set up or go a little deeper dive into it if you need to know more about it. Thank you. That's the end of the training. Thank you guys for joining us. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Bushel Support. Thank you.